This is absolutely insane. I asked AI what would happen if a corrupt billionaire got into our government and had unchecked power. The results I got back are absolutely shocking. Please share this video. It is very important that people see this, because what was described to me sounds eerily similar to what's happening right now. Click on the like button and let's begin. Here's the prompt. If I were a corrupt and greedy, self-interested billionaire and I helped get a president elected, and that president gave me unchecked power to clean up the government, imagine that the entire Congress was afraid of me. What are the top 10 things I would most likely do in terms of firing people and gutting agencies or departments? Then do the same thing if I were a good person and actually wanted to serve the people and clean up government. So here's the first version. This is the corrupt version. Corrupt billionaire. This is what I would do. Self-interested billionaire. Top 10 things. Self-serving agenda. Eliminate oversight agencies. Fire or defund watchdog agencies like the Inspector General's Office, Government Accountability Office, and the Office of Special Counsel to prevent investigations into corruption. Literally the opposite of what you're pretending to do. Number 2, install loyalists in key positions. Replace independent regulators, SEC, FTC, DOJ, FCC, EPA. Replace all of those heads with loyalists, with personal allies to weaken regulations that impact you or your business empire. This would explain why we have the most inexperienced cabinet in history, the most unqualified, did not earn it cabinet in history. Because the priority is loyalists, not actual ability to do the jobs. Number 3, weaken antitrust enforcement. Dismantle the FTC and DOJ antitrust division to allow mega mergers and monopolies that favor your business interests. Number 4, cut IRS audits for the rich. Gut the IRS enforcement against the wealthy and corporations while ramping up audits on small businesses and the middle class, which is exactly what happens when you reduce the staff or agents, IRS agents. When you reduce the staff on the IRS agents, they're not going to have the capacity to audit the very wealthy. So that means more audits on the poor and middle class. Deregulate banking and finance. Repeal banking restrictions. Dodd-Frank Act, SEC enforcement to create speculative bubble where you can profit from market manipulation. Elon Musk knows something about market manipulation. Privatize public resources. Sell off national parks, public utilities, and infrastructure to private investors, ideally your own companies or allies. Undermine whistleblower protections. Fire or intimidate whistleblowers in government agencies to ensure no one exposes wrongdoing. Control the media. Pressure or deregulate media ownership rules to allow a handful of corporations, preferably ones you own, to dominate news coverage and suppress dissent. Weaken labor protections. Crush unions. Repeal workplace safety laws and allow corporations to exploit workers with low wages and poor conditions. Number 10, divert military and law enforcement for personal use. Redirect federal security forces to protect your assets, intimidate opponents, and crush protests against your administration. Now let's look at what it says if you're actually a good guy. Fire and prosecute corrupt officials, identify and remove politicians and bureaucrats engaged in bribery, conflicts of interest, and abuse of power. Increase funding for agencies that prosecute white-collar crime. I haven't heard anything like that so far. Strengthen watchdog agencies. Instead of gutting them, strengthening them. Expand and empower the Government Accountability Office, Inspector General's Office, and the DOJ Public Integrity Section to root out corruption. Imagine that. If you wanted to get rid of corruption, you would actually expand the anti-corruption parts of our government. Expand and improve them. I mean, that seems like the most efficient thing to do, right? Break up corporate monopolies, reinforce antitrust laws, break up big tech, big pharma, and predatory financial institutions that harm consumers. Sounds kind of like some stuff that Kamala Harris was talking about. Interesting. Tax the ultra-wealthy fairly. Close tax loopholes. Increase IRS enforcement. Increase IRS on the rich and ensure billionaires and corporations pay their fair share. End political lobbying and dark money. Ban corporate PACs. Limit lobbying influence and require full transparency in campaign donations. Rebuild public infrastructure. Invest in modernizing roads, bridges, public transportation, and green energy. While the Green New Deal preventing cronyism and government contracts. Expand worker protections, strengthen labor rights, raise the minimum wage, and ensure fair treatment of workers in all industries. Reform healthcare and drug pricing. Crack down on pharmaceutical price gouging. Another thing Kamala Harris wanted to do. And ensure affordable healthcare access for all citizens. And by the way, I don't like Kamala Harris. Modernize government technology and efficiency. Reduce bureaucracy. Implement modern digital systems and eliminate wasteful spending. Restore accountability and transparency. Require politicians to disclose tax returns. Strengthen FOIA laws, Freedom of Information Act, so we could get more information about what they're doing, and make all government dealings fully transparent to the public. So the TLDR, a corrupt billionaire would eliminate oversight, rig the system for personal gain, and suppress dissent, while a good leader would root out corruption, empower watchdogs. Very interesting indeed. I asked the same question to another AI model. This AI model has a cutoff from August of 24. So it doesn't have any information about what's happening right now. So this is very interesting to see what this says. It can't say that it's picking up on what's happening right now and whatever. This is just where the AI went. If your primary motivation is self-interest and wealth accumulation with unchecked power, here are 20 targets you might pursue. Treasury Department. Restructuring to implement tax policies benefiting your businesses and wealth preservation. Securities and Exchange Commission. Weaken oversight. Federal Trade Commission. Eliminate antitrust enforcement. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Dismantle consumer protections that limit profitable financial products. Like, for example, if you were Elon Musk looking to get into banking and knowing that the CSFPB be coming after you to make sure that you don't cheat your customers. Seems like something you'd want to get rid of and pretend like it's fraudulent, it's a liberal, Elizabeth Warren, blah. Environmental Protection Agency. Remove regulations that impose costs on your industrial operations. Department of Justice Antitrust Division. That seems to be a very common target. Replace leadership with those who won't pursue monopolistic behavior cases. Office of Government Ethics. Neutralize ethics oversight that might restrict your influence. FCC. Control media regulations to favor information channels. Your information channels, rather. Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Reshape energy policy to benefit your energy investments. Department of Labor. Weaken worker protections and unions that might increase your labor costs. Internal Revenue Service. Defund audit capabilities for high net worth individuals and complex business structures. Office of Controller of Currency. Reduce banking regulations. Federal Elections Commission. I've warned about this. Paralyze campaign finance enforcement to maintain political influence. Department of Defense procurement officials. Install allies to direct contracts towards your companies, like taking away Verizon's contract to award it to your Starlink company. We just saw that. Department of the Interior. Gain control of natural resources leasing on federal lands. Department of Housing. Redirect development subsidies towards your real estate interests. Federal Reserve Board of Governors. Influence monetary policy to benefit your debt structure. Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs. Block regulations that might impact your businesses. Patent and Trademark Office. Restructure intellectual property protections to benefit your technology holdings. U.S. Trade Representative. Direct trade policy to protect your global business interests while hurting competitors. Very interesting. And you can say, ask it about when its data cutoff was, because I'm actually looking for the truth. I'm not trying to push an agenda. So I was curious to know if anything that's happening now might be influencing what it's saying. So I wanted to know what data it's using. As you can see, it stops in August 2024. So it doesn't have the benefit of knowing Trump won and Elon Musk and anything. And this is what it came to, which is very similar to what ChatGPT did. ChatGPT is much more current than this is. ChatGPT has awareness of what's happening right now. I told it not to do that, not to look at that. The questions I gave it should not be influenced by what's happening, but it could, in theory. However, this model does not have that benefit of information on what's happening right now. What do you think about this? Why is it that, just like I've been saying for so long, everything that Elon Musk and Donald Trump is doing seems to conveniently match exactly what I would do if I was a corrupt president or a corrupt billionaire in the government with unchecked power? They're going about things in the exact way that you would if the whole point was not to eliminate corruption, but enhance corruption for your own benefit. Is this all just coincidence? Or is it exactly what it seems to be for anyone not seduced by the cutting out fraud and waste rhetoric?